All right, so today I am going to talk quickly about my last recent trip to Pokhara and back. And I did it in my personal vehicle, the Kona EV, which has a 39 kilowatt hour battery. This, by the way, is what I'm reviewing at the moment. I have already published this review of the Leap Motor C10 a couple of months back, and do check that out too. It's a phenomenal car. In the 2 days I've had this testing it around, the suspension is next level. I wish I had this on my Pokhara trip, but the highway at the current moment, it is mid-October at the time of recording, and it's in shambles. Like, it's very, very much broken. There's no way to put it. Utterly broken. I used the diversion route from Tokha to Nuwakot and then hit Gulsi instead of going through the Naktunga Nobise downhill from Kathmandu, the traditional way, because that road, though smaller, has better road quality at the moment. It's by no means a highway, but all I care about is road quality. I don't care about the distance too much. I think that's because of an EV, but it's just more wear and tear when you go through a worse road. So I took it there, and it was all smooth sailing when I left at 5 in the morning from my home in Kathmandu. And I was at Gulsi with periodic stops because I have a dog by 7 a.m. Yeah, easy peasy. And then the moment I hit the main highway, I hit jam and the roads were horrible. Luckily, because it was early in the morning, I didn't run into morning traffic, but the roads were horrible, and I'm so glad I left at a time. I timed it very correctly so that I would not meet too much of rainfall. Like, I waited for the rain to stop for a couple of days so that the highway wouldn't be all slush with mud. I was okay with dust to some extent, but not too slushy, because then EVs have a lot of traction, there's low clearance, you don't know how to judge how deep a pond is. I still had points where my clearance did bottom out, like at 2 or 3 points. But it wasn't necessarily that bad, and I feel like that was my negligence. If I had maybe taken a strategic route around the pond rather than going through it, or had I just driven more carefully, I felt like I would have avoided bottoming out. So yeah, was pretty smooth and sailing. I was across Mungling and at Dumre, like more than halfway there by, I guess, I don't know, 1 p.m. Yeah, by 12:30, as far as I remember. And that's the thing. They said the highway was bad, but I didn't hit too much morning traffic, and I was crossed midway. And I was actually planning on getting into Pokhara by 5 p.m. Speaking of which, I don't need to charge my car on the way. At Dumre, I still had about 65 to 70% of battery left with intermediate AC usage. But then after Dumre, it was another detour through Damoli. The highway is like on and off, good and bad. And oh my god, the part after Damoli, scorching hot, high AC. I found out that my car does not have good AC. I guess AC coolant needs to be changed. Compressor might be need serviced. It's traveled 52,000 kilometers, by the way, and this is going to be the second servicing on that AC. One was like about 15,000 kilometers ago, I suppose, a year and a half ago. And yeah, high AC. And then I had a puncture on the Damoli to Duipiple road. Oh my god, it was horrible. EV cars don't have any spare tires, no jack to lift it up, just a tire repair kit. And I found out that my tire repair kit doesn't even have all the pipes. I never checked it. You never check the things you need in desperation until like you actually need it. Oh my god, I found out that the hose that connects the sealant to the wheel is missing. I did have a compressor though. So I literally did 3 kilometers in 1 hour by frequently stopping to add the air to about 30 psi, and then it would just deflate on its own within the next half a kilometer maximum, down to like 5 6. I drove it down to like 7 8 psi, not 5 6. I correct myself because I was really worried if I dropped it down to 2 or 1. Again, Nepal's roads aren't the best. If I would hit a pothole or anything, even at low speeds, it would damage or crack the rims. And I know the tires would be available in Pokhara, which was just 30-40 kilometers from that point. But I wasn't necessarily sure if the rims were going to be available. And it was during Dashain, like right before. So I was also very scared that the showrooms are going to get closed and I and my family would be trapped in Pokhara. Luckily, we found a place that would mend the tire. Had to get a jog. It was a whole story because they didn't have the right size jog, and then suddenly the last half 400 meters my tire compressor also had given out. Like it had overheated itself basically, and what happened as a result was it just wouldn't heat. It just overheated and it would not in any way inflate the tires beyond, I guess, 5 minutes of usage, and then it would just automatically shut off. So here's a tip to you guys: your tire compressor will work, but in the case you use it back to back, like me, for an hour consecutively every 300-400 meters, it's going to fail you. So one usage, one top up, or once in a while is fine, but not in the way I used it. And I guess that was to be expected. So yeah, that happened and it was a utter nightmare. But luckily they patched up the tire, and instead of getting to Pokhara at 3 p.m, by 3 p.m, I arrived at like 6 p.m. and I immediately took it to the Hyundai service center in Parsiang. It was just like 3 or 4 kilometers from Lakeside. They do allow free overnight charges or just daytime charges. And I've gone there enough that I do know the staff, like the service advisor and the guards and some of the mechanics. So yeah, I just safe thing dropped all my luggage off and my family at the hotel, and then went to the service center even though it was after hours by the time I got there. The guard is always there, stationed 24/7, so plugged it in, and then I was like, even if this wheel does not work tomorrow morning, it luckily did. Like by the time I reached Pokhara, I did not see any signs of tire wear and tear. But you never know. I wanted to get it checked by a mechanic if the rims were okay, if the tire needed replacement. Spoiler alert, it did. And yeah, so I was just gonna go there and dump it on at the showroom. Not gonna take any chances. And the next day I went there early, bright in the morning, 10 a.m. sharp. And we lifted the car. The tire volume had decreased a couple, and it was already showing me the deflated tire warning. So upon a quick inspection, I found out that a sharp rock had just tore the insides of the tire wall, and as a result I had to replace that thing. Luckily they did have stock. It cost me about 19,800 rupees, and Hyundai Pokhara does not apparently have the mechanics or the tools and requirements to like open up a tire and change it. So then I had to buy the tire and then drive a couple of kilometers to Naya Bazaar where they had all the equipment and changed it. And luckily that was no more than a 500 rupee sort of thing, labor charge to like change the tire. I was just worried about the TPMS sensor, which I also found out was attached right below the valve, like on the rim itself. So luckily the rim did not look damaged at all. It was in fine conditions, but my takeaway was that it punctured the back rear right tire, and that was already 52,000 kilometers used. So when the front tires deteriorate really bad, I'd swap them to the back, and so they were already like badly deteriorated tires, and they needed to be changed in the next 2-3,000 kilometers anyway, and it was one of those that had to be changed. So I'm gonna count my lucky stars there. I still reached Pokhara with about 60 kilometers in range, I think about 18%. I have a short on Instagram about this. I'll put a link down below if I remember. And yeah, quite the trip. What started off presumably as a very nonchalant, easy trip ended up being horrible. Anyway, the highway is in horrible conditions. Just be ready for everything until these highways in Nepal are mended. If you're an EV user, please double check all the equipment and learn how to insert the sealant in the car before you hit the road, because even if all the equipment is there, you might not know. And just double check if you have everything, unlike stupid me. Anyway, that's me for today. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.